What's going on, everybody? Today we're doing Manchester United and 3 players they should keep and 3 players they should sell. Now, this is not based on just the squad in general. It is obviously based on Manchester United's squad, but for players they should keep, I'm not going to say players like Martial, who's having a brilliant year, or Greenwood, who's having a brilliant year, and obviously would be coveted by all clubs, but nobody's really registered interest. Nobody thinks they could obviously tempt Man United into selling. Manchester United would obviously not be tempted into selling, so Greenwood wouldn't be on the list. So it's players who are linked with moves away, players who fans may not like. Those kind of players will be in these lists, guys. But we're going to start 3 players that every team should keep. Manchester United. Now let's jump into it. Luke Shaw, number 1. This one is a weird one for me now. Every time I look around at Manchester United, Twitter pages and fan pages or whatever, I see a lot of people who go after Luke Shaw. But I think the end of the year, Luke Shaw not being around, has shown a lot of people of how valuable he is to the club. He may be injured quite a bit, and maybe getting in another left back is obviously okay, but moving Luke Shaw on would be a problem for me. I wouldn't personally move him on. Now, Brandon Williams has filled in there. He's a right back mostly. He doesn't really have a left foot, and he's struggled a little bit, especially toward the end of the year. He's been noticeably struggling, but they've got really no one else to play there at the moment. So bringing a left back in would be something I would do, but moving Luke Shaw out would not be something I do. That drop in quality is so noticeable now, and Luke Shaw is the drop in quality. You drop off of Luke Shaw and you miss the quality, and you notice the missing quality. Luke Shaw may not be the best left back in the world, but he's definitely serviceable and definitely way better than what United have been playing with the last couple of weeks. Number 2, Paul Pogba. Now, this one I'm kind of back and forth on. Now, I don't personally think Pogba is a top 5 midfielder. I don't think he's, the greatest midfielder around. I don't think he's one of those incredibly great midfielders. He has the talent, but he almost seems lackadaisical, like he's not interested a lot of the time, like he's not putting in enough effort, and there are games where nothing connects. Every once in a while he pops out a really, really good pass, but a lot of his other passes don't really hit. When he's on, but he's off way too often. But I would keep him around. I'd let this roll another season and see if he could, really develop into that really, really, really good midfielder, that top 5 kind of midfielder. I would personally move him on next year if it didn't really happen. There are plenty of teams around the world who would pay quite a bit for him, and I imagine he's on some incredible wages there. Maybe next summer, but I think I'd give it one more year to see how he's consistently playing with Fernandez and moving the team forward that way. And then number 3, Dean Henderson. Now, this one will entwine it a little bit with 3 players they should sell. I've added David De Gea to a list of players they should sell. I think Dean Henderson at the moment is the better goalkeeper. I would keep him around. I'd find a agreement. I would give him the shirt. I would give him the number 1 spot, and I'd move David De Gea on. Now, David De Gea isn't on my list of 3 of players to sell, because I think there are other players in this squad who need to leave, but he's more of an extra. I would swap David De Gea and Dean Henderson now. I wouldn't send Dean Henderson out on loan. I wouldn't keep him around to quote-unquote fight. If you're going to pick David De Gea, I would give Henderson the shirt and move David De Gea on, and that's just how it would be. David De Gea has fallen quite a bit. He's mistake prone now. He's turned into like what Lloris is almost, where you're almost expecting a mistake. Dean Henderson, young, is better than David De Gea right now, very much capable of being in net here. And that is how I would do it. Dean Henderson, extend his contract, bring him in, and hold on to him, and move David De Gea on. Now we're going to go into 3 players they should sell Manchester United, David De Gea not being one of them. Number 1, Phil Jones. This it's probably gone on quite a long time here. It's been seemingly like most people have wanted Phil Jones out of the club for a while now. This is something that just needs to happen. There are way too many mistakes in the Manchester United defense as it is, but having someone who is prone to these mistakes is just making it worse. And you see Maguire, you see Lindelof, and they make mistakes, and then you look to the bench and you're like, God, you can't even rotate it out because you see someone like Phil Jones just waiting in the wings. You need to get a little bit more solidity there, even if they're not necessarily a starter, but someone who is more solid than Phil Jones. Number 2, Jesse Lingard, another player whose career has been very strange. He seemed like he would take off, and then, it turned out to be nothing. He doesn't really do too much in the team anymore, and when he's playing, it's just noticeably not great, isn't it? It's bang average at best. He doesn't bring anything that is already in the squad. It's time to just get those wages off and move him on. And then next and final, Pereira. This is a midfielder who at the last 2 years has been bang average for the entire time. This isn't a good midfielder. He makes mistakes. He doesn't put in the effort you feel would be needed in the Premier League in midfield. It's another player who's just average, sitting in a pool of mostly average midfielders. To me, Manchester United have 2 good midfielders. It's Bruno Fernandes and it is Paul Pogba. The rest are bang average. I wouldn't want Matic, Fred, Pereira. McTominay's pretty good. I think you can keep him as well. The other 3, I wouldn't want them anywhere near a top 6 kind of squad. Those players need to go, but Pereira is probably the worst of the bunch, and he doesn't even bring anything to the team or to the midfield that isn't already there, and he's almost just kind of wasting wages and space. So I would definitely move him on, guys. But that is going to be it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, what players you'd move on, what players you'd keep, all that fun jazz, guys. But that is going to be it. So peace.